Let's take a look at a new ham release from Retevis. Hi, and welcome to the Gadget Talk channel, where we do reviews and how-tos on a variety of electronic gadgets that catch my eye. In this video, we'll be taking a look at the Retevis RA89 dual-band ham radio. As always, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell. The Retevis RA89 is a new release here in 2023. It's a fairly small HT with a small LCD screen that displays all the pertinent information and allows you to interact with the menu systems. Despite a somewhat older styling that doesn't include a big color screen and other case-related bells and whistles, the RA89 has packed a number of very cool features into a very functional form factor. As always, we'll do a video tour of the radio in just a second. Before we do that, let me tell you that this radio was provided to me by Retevis, but they have no control over the review that you're about to watch. Let's start off with reviewing a couple of noteworthy features you'll find in this radio. First, the RA89 has a 2500 milliamp hour battery that's advertised to have up to a 75-hour standby time. Depending on how often you transmit, this should provide you with a full weekend's worth of power when out and about or out camping. It also uses USB-C to charge. This is becoming a standard for small HTs. It allows you to charge via your car's USB port, a power bank, or even a small solar charge panel. This makes USB-C chargeable radios perfect for off-grid use or in cases of emergency when storms disrupt normal power sources. Another feature that makes the RA89 a good choice for outdoor use is its IP68 ingress protection score. An IP68 score means that the radio is dustproof and will resist water while submerged in up to 1.5 meters of water for up to 30 minutes. If you like fishing or kayaking and take your radio with you, an IP68 rating is very helpful. Another thing to note is the RA89 uses a male or plug end on its antenna. This is different from the typical Baofeng antennas. That means those antennas aren't interchangeable. The last feature we'll mention before the radio tour is its noise reduction capability. I reviewed a GMRS radio about a year ago that had microphone noise reduction capability, but haven't really seen this feature mentioned much since then in the small HT category. Noise reduction is pretty standard in cell phones, but less so in HTs. This feature filters out background noise while allowing your voice to pass, making your signal easier to understand. If you use your radio in noisy conditions, this is a very handy capability. As you'll see in my test, it was noticeable, but just barely. Standing next to my running pickup, I was clearly understandable. So, enough talking. Let's jump into the radio tour. So here's a quick look at what comes in the box. We've got the wrist strap lanyard that'll fit on a hole in the back of the radio. We've got the belt clip for those of you who like to put on belt clips. And then there's this little bag with screws for the belt clip that you'll want to make sure that you keep track of. The radio can be charged with the charge cradle, as you see here. It's got the Retevis branding on the back. And then it's got a USB-C connection here. So it's taking a USB-C input here to charge the radios. And then the USB-C cable also comes with it. However, there's also, as we'll see in a minute, a USB-C on the back of the radio or in the back of the battery. So you don't have to use the charge cradle. If you don't want to, you can plug the USB-C directly into the radio as you choose. The last thing is the standard little rubber ducky antenna. Got the frequency range here. And then notice that in this, as I mentioned earlier, is got the plug side or the male side here in the antenna. Now that's backwards from most of the Baofeng radios. And so you want to make sure if you're going to order a third-party radio antenna for this particular HT, you're going to want to order one that has a male end antenna, not the typical female that you may be used to if you're using Baofeng radios. So let's take a look at the radio itself. So here's the radio. The speaker is right behind this grid, and there's a little microphone hole here in the front of the radio. The screen is a relatively small screen. We'll power this on here in just a second. The F button is what you would normally think of as the menu button. A and B will exit menu mode or change from the A register to the B register, as you're probably used to dealing with. And then the number keys 1 through 0. You can, when you're in menu mode, you can shortcut to these single-digit menus or use 2 buttons to move to one of the higher level menus. And then as we'll turn this on, you see this button is labeled radio, and it's got some functions as well. Over on this side, we've got push to talk, we've got side key 1, we've got side key 2, and we can program those, as you'll see, with the CPS as well. And then across the back, we've got the radio battery, and then we've got where the belt clip screws into the back of the radio. To get the battery off, we're going to press this little button, which is kind of a lever that pushes back this little flip clip, and then we can just take the radio battery off. Now this is a pretty big battery, and so it says it's a 2500 milliamp battery, 7.4 volts, which is 2-cell LiPo kind of thing. And then you can see here it's got the FCC ID and serial number on the sticker on the inside of the radio. We'll put that back on, flip that on. Now as we rotate to this side, we've got the typical K1 connector. And in this case, I've got the cover off, and here is the cover. It screws on, and that's because of the higher level of intrusion or ingress protection that this radio has. So I've got it off so I can show you that, but it just kind of clips in there and then screws into that particular socket. Here on the top, we've got the flashlight, the on-off switch, the transmit, receive LED right there, and then you can see that this is a different type of connector, still the SMA connector, but this is the female or socket side, and so it kind of sticks up out of the radio, and the antenna drops down on top of that. And then one more thing to point out to you here on the back of the radio, here is the little rubber clip door that comes off. You can see it right there. That covers a USB-C that you can use to charge the radio directly without using the charge cradle. So you want to be careful not to lose that, since it is not connected to the battery itself. And then right there is a little charge indicator that'll give you an idea of when the battery is completely charged. So with the radio turned on, we've got the light here. I've got it dim, and then I've got it set to on so it doesn't keep flashing on and off as we record. And hopefully you'll be able to see that. But across the top, it's got the typical, menu icons. It's got a little H for high, a W for wide, the battery indicator. Both the upper and lower register are in channel mode. They're both on channel 1. AB switches from the upper and lower, so we can go up to the upper register, down to the lower. And then if we want to change mode, so for example, VFO mode on the bottom, we can press this little radio key, and you can see it changed to VFO mode and whatever the last frequency was set there. Again, another press will change it back to channel mode. In our menus, we can press the F key, and the menu comes up, and then you can access menu items. So if I wanted to go to squelch, I'd press 5, and now I'm in squelch, and you can see it's on squelch level 3, which usually works pretty well for me. If I want to use one of the higher level menus, I can press menu and then go to, say, 25. and that took me up to one of the DCS code menu items in the overall menu. So in our menu, we can go to menu 1, and we've got our scan. And if we go down from there, we can get to the top menu, and you can see there are 40 items in our menu. This is radio version, and so it gives you some code numbers there for the radio version. The receive light, you can turn it on or off, and that's basically whether you want this backlight to come on when you receive a signal. You can use the mic level, and so the mic level here is 1, and then like with most of these little radios, press menu again, and then you can use the up and down to make changes to the mic level or the mic gain. Press menu again, and that'll lock it in, and then exit, which is the AB switch, to go back to the regular mode. Now, again, there are 40 menu items. They're the typical ones you're used to seeing, and so I'm not going to go through all of those with you. So that's a quick tour of the menu system. Now, I've got my side keys programmed too, so let's look at those real quick. So program key 1 here, program side key 2 is here, so it's a short press. Turns on the flashlight, you can see another short press turns it off. A long press turns on the FM radio. Another long press turns it off. On side key number 2, a short press changes the power, and so you can see the power went to medium, went to low, and back to high. So that's a very handy key to have, so you can use the least amount of power necessary. So if you're close to the repeater, drop it down to low. If you're at the fringe, bump it up to high. So that's very handy. And then a long press will turn on noise reduction. Here is the way I've got this programmed. So we've got noise reduction on, long press, and 2 beeps, and it'll be noise reduction off. So there are a whole list, as you'll see when you look at the clip from the CPS Snapshot. So that's it. That's pretty much it for our power on tour for the little Retevis RA89. Here's a clip of the RA89's power output on both VHF and UHF frequencies. So let's do a power check here on the RA89. It's advertised as a high power output HT, so I'm going to use the 20-watt arc on my MFJ 874, and I'm broadcasting into a dummy load. We'll be reading these on the second arc from the bottom. So here's VHF first. VHF low power. Looks to be about 1.3, 1.4 watts. Let's go up to medium. Here's medium. About 5.1 watts, so that's pretty good. And on high power, again, we're looking on the second arc from the bottom, and it looks to be right at 9 watts, which is really pretty good for a little handheld transceiver like this. Let's go up to the UHF band and see what we get up there. So low on the UHF band, it looks to be about 2.1 watts. Medium on UHF looks to be about 6 watts there on the second band. And high power on UHF is just a hair under 9 at about 8.9 watts. So it comes in really close to what it's advertised at. It reads pretty well for what's advertised as a 10-watt radio coming in at like 9 watts. That's really good. Now, let's take a look, or more accurately, a listen to the receive and transmit audio qualities.
Test, 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 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Test, 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 receive test on the Retevis RA89. Test out. Test, 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 test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Test, test. The transmit test for the Retevis RA89. RA89 test of the noise reduction circuitry standing next to my running Ford F-150. Here's the sound without any voice. Here's the audio with the same place, same truck, with the noise reduction turned on. So the noise reduction's on in this clip. Here's the sound of the car by itself. AA7JM test out.
I'm going to do a separate video on the RA89 CPS, but here's a very brief peek at that software. So here's the RA89 CPS from Retevis, and it looks pretty familiar. You got the typical Windows drop-down boxes here with new open save, program read, basically duplicates of these icons right here. We've got help about and so forth. The channel will show what's in the radio. VFOs allows you to see what's in the various bands of your radio here in the VFO. Basic is where you have the opportunity to change the various items in your menu. Makes it real easy to change. Here in the short, long is for the side keys. So for side key 1 is short is flashlight, a long is FM radio. Here P2 is monitor. I'm going to switch this up just to show you how it works. So I'm going to put a short press for power select on P2, and then a long press on P2 I am going to put in the monitor or the squelch break. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll hit enter, and then that's been entered in. And you know, basically, so that's how you make the various changes here. In the radio, you put in your various FM radio stations for your area if you want to be able to scan or access those with the up and down arrows on your radio. To start with, then we're going to read from the radio. So we're going to hit plus read, and we're going to start. And the light on the radio came on. I've got it connected, and it reads. There's no really change to show anything's happening. It says it succeeded. And so you can see I've got a handful of VHF, handful of UHF channels here in the channel listing. I'm not going to make any changes, but otherwise, just to show you how to work, you know, you just click in here, type in the frequency. When you click out of this box, it's going to duplicate here. If it's a repeater, put the uplink frequency there. Put in your up and down CT/CSS codes, if any. You can set the step for each channel. Wide, narrow, and ham in the US, we're going to be on wide. We're not going to do any signaling, and you can give it a name. Now, if you like to work in boxes instead of across a spreadsheet, you can click here, and you'll get a channel display that allows you to enter all of those same items here in this instead of on the spreadsheet. So that's how that all works. And then to finish up, we're just going to press right, and then we can read what changes that we've just made back to our radio. In this case, when it's reading, the little green receive light is flashing on the radio, and as you can see, the program just kind of moves across the status bar, and then we're done. Well, there you have it. I found the RA89 to be a very nice dual band HT. It's solidly built, has some very nice features, plus all the capabilities you'd expect in a small ham HT. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the Gadget Talk channel. And join me over here to take a look at some of 2023's best premium ham HTs. Thanks for watching, and 73.